10 reasons why men cheat, even if you are a good woman. I am going to unpack this by giving you different reasons. But before we even begin, I want you to hit the subscribe button if you have not, and the notification bell so that you don't miss a single video. For those of you that don't know who I am, my name is Vernel Samuel. I am a pastor and an apostle, and I'm the senior leader of a movement called Hungry for God in New York City. We're based in New York, but we're also establishing locations in South Carolina and in different parts of the country. And I also want to invite you, if you're ever in New York City, you want to jump in and check out one of our services. We have some of the finest people in New York City. I would love for you to join me at H4G Church. You can also hit the link in the description to find our church. But ultimately, let me jump right in. I have a passion to help singles and couples solve relationship problems. Why am I passionate about this? Is because as a pastor working with people every single day, one of the number one hindrances, setbacks, delays, detours in people's lives is dealing with the wrong people, getting into bad relationships. One bad relationship can set your life back 7 to 14 years. I'm talking you can miss divine opportunities. You can miss your calling. You can miss your season because you are too distracted dealing with the wrong person. So I want to help bring wisdom and clarity in this area because I'm so tired of seeing so many tremendously blessed men and women, people who have so much potential, wasting their years, wasting their time because they are drunk in love or what they think is love, only to find out a few years later that they made a terrible mistake. All right. So, yeah, we're going to talk about reasons why men cheat. I was scrolling on Instagram and I saw a woman say this. And she asked this question. She said, "What's the incentive for being a good woman when a man is just going to go out and disrespect you by cheating on you?" She said, I can do all the cooking, I can do all the cleaning, I can raise his kids, and he will still go out and disrespect me by cheating on me. So what's the incentive of even being a good woman if a man is going to cheat anyway? And it broke my heart. Wearing this fly hoodie I got from this movement called Matters of the Heart. But it broke my heart when I heard that because I was just like, dang, that really stings, that really will destroy a woman's desire to be faithful and be committed if the idea or the belief is that, well, men are going to cheat anyway. And so while there are men who don't cheat, not all men cheat. Men don't cheat, or not all men cheat, I should say. However, men who will cheat on a woman, as hard as this might be for a woman, and I'm talking about a married man, there are some men who just don't want to be married because they know they're not going to be faithful. But when a man makes a decision to marry a person, the chances of him, or the reality is that man really wants to be faithful. That man really loves you because he chose you. When a man chooses you and says, I want to commit, I want to marry you, I want to stay and be with you for the rest of my life, that man is serious about that because men don't come to that decision very easily. However, making a decision and having a plan to support that decision are two different things, right? A lot of us start things that we can't finish. A lot of us are guilty of starting memberships at gyms that we went the first 3 months to, first 6 months, and then we stopped going. We're still in membership with them. We're still paying our monthly dues, wasting money, but we ain't showing up. We ain't going. Many of us started school. We committed to going to school to get a degree, and we didn't go back the next semester, or life got in the way. We got distracted. Changes happened. So a lot of us are all guilty of starting something, saying I'm committed, saying I will, I do, I commit, and then we don't stake through what we've committed. So a lot of times men come into marriage with the right intention, but lack the right information. I'll say that again. They have the right intention, but lack the right information, or they don't have the internal resources necessary to stay faithful, stay committed. And another thing is that a man might cheat on you by entertaining another woman, whether it's emotionally, sexually, and that man not have any feelings for that person. That man can still love you and still have strong feelings and a desire to actually want to stay with you, but was seduced or might have, whatever the reasons are. I'm not gonna try to say why he did what he did, why he might do what he does, because there's no excuse. So let me also just say that there is no excuse to cheating. These reasons are not excuses. I'm not giving you I'm not saying these reasons give him a pass. Okay? But what I am saying is I believe that the more of these reasons that I'm going to share with you, the more aware you are of them. If you the more of these reasons that I'm going to give you that's missing in his life, these 10 things that might be missing in his life, the less he has these things, or the more that these things are missing in his life, or the greater the odds that he can fall into cheating. And so I also want men to watch this, because I also want a man to understand, am I missing, am I lacking in these areas? Because if I am, the odds of me cheating on my wife are also very high. Sometimes, see, temptation is coming to us all the time. We're living in one of the most sex driven times in history. And for men, this little phone right here, this device right at our fingertips, from there's apps where you can hook up with women today. Women who are on these apps that are saying, I'm down. I don't want commitment. I don't want to be with anybody. I just want to have somebody to have sex with. There are apps that men can simply go to and just hook up with somebody who just wants to have sex. They don't want commitment. They don't want relationship. They just want sex. You have porn, you have Twitter, you have social media, you have all these things where the thirst trap posts. You just scroll on your phone, or you just find a woman who her breasts are out, butt out. Like, men are constantly being bombarded, and the way that men are designed is that we our eyes, God has created us to be attracted or attractive, no, attracted to woman based off of their appearance and their beauty, right? This is why sex sells. This is why the saying is true: sex sells. Because of the way that we have been wired. And so a man has to know as well how to be disciplined enough, to be diligent enough to safeguard his heart and his mind from the different distractions, seductions, and temptations, myself included. Okay? I've been married now for 14 years. And there's so many times I've had to just say, man, I can't make sure, I have to make sure that I don't entertain certain conversations, or I don't open up certain apps and go on certain websites, because those things, lust is lying at your door, and it's looking for a way in to sabotage your relationships and your destinies. All right. So let me just quickly give you these 10 reasons why men cheat, even if they have a good woman. And if you're a good woman, I want you to also recognize that many times men might cheat and they don't. It's not that they don't know you're good. It's not that you've done something wrong. 90% of what I'm about to tell you even doesn't even have anything to do with you, ladies. This is internal battles that a man has to work on himself internally and with the help of the Almighty to get his heart right, get his mind right, so that he can be committed to the vows and the oath that he has committed towards you. All right. So let's jump into that. First reason why men cheat is that they lack vision. Vision. Vision is the ability to think long term. Many men have sight, but they don't have vision. Vision is the ability to look at something long term and make decisions today that's going to ultimately help a man achieve the goal that they desire in the future. So vision is future oriented while sight is present oriented. When a man walks by sight, he makes decisions based on how he feels right now. Instant gratification. I feel horny. I feel like I desire to release, and I want companionship, or this woman looks good, or they will move based off of feelings. But a wise man is a man who has the ability to think long term and ask himself the question: if I do this right now, what are going to be the consequences of this later? And vision gives sacrifice a purpose. I will sacrifice, or I'm not going to give in to my immediate desires and impulses right now, because I have a vision of where I want to be. I have a vision of what I want for my family. I want a vision of what I want my legacy to look like and be like. I don't want people talking about me 10, 15 years later because of something that I did today. I don't want my children to hate me, or my children to despise me or regret having me as their dad because of a decision I made today. That's vision. And so vision gives sacrifice a purpose. It allows you to make better decisions today, which leads me to number two. Men who cheat lack wisdom. And the Bible says that the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. So in order for us to get wise, we need to have the fear of the Lord. We need to have a reverence for God. And a man who does not have any reverence for God lacks wisdom. And if he lacks wisdom, he is not going to know what to do, when to do it, how to do it. He's going to make foolish decisions that can ultimately ruin his life. Number three, lacks accountability. Some men, again, desire to do the right thing, but they don't have the support system around them to keep them on the straight and narrow. When you lack accountability, you don't have anyone that's going to help give you an account, that's going to remind you of your decision. You don't have anybody that's going to tell you, like, bro, I see the way you're looking at her. I see the way you're talking to her. You got a wife at home. Accountability. Every man needs accountability. Every man needs someone to be accountable to help him keep an account to his ability. That's what accountability is. Accountability is having like outside influence that's going to remind you of who you are, and is going to encourage you to stay dedicated to your commitments and your decisions. And no matter what goals, no matter what dreams you're trying to achieve, having someone that you're accountable to is a sign of wisdom and a mark of wisdom. Because if you leave it up to yourself, many times you're gonna slack off. When you feel no one is looking and no one is watching, you can deviate and go off track. But having somebody to keep you accountable will push you to do what you don't even feel like doing at certain moments. So a man needs to be accountable to other men who can keep him focused on his decision in his marriage. Another thing is that a man who may cheat, number four, a man who may cheat lacks personal fulfillment. If a man is still searching and seeking for fulfillment or out, in his personal life, and I'm not talking about sexual fulfillment, personal fulfillment. If he's not fully satisfied and he doesn't find pleasure in what he's doing in his life, whether it's at his job or his work, he doesn't have any sense of purpose. And without that sense of purpose, he won't feel fulfilled. And if he doesn't feel fulfilled, he will look for that fulfillment outside somewhere. A woman will never give a man fulfillment. Sex will never give a man personal fulfillment. That fulfillment must come from a relationship with God, and B, a man that is operating in his God-given purpose. And once a man is operating in his God-given purpose, he is driven and motivated every single day to the success and the accomplishment of that purpose, which means that things that will distract him in a time when he is not fulfilled won't distract him in a time when he is fulfilled, because he is committed and he's focused on what he is called to do. So a man needs to be personally fulfilled in his life. Number five, he lacks good examples. Contrary to popular belief, commitment is learned behavior. This is why it's easier for a man who has had a father who was faithful to his wife, and has probably seen father figures in his life, or men who actually were husbands and stayed faithful. It's easier for a man who witnessed that to actually repeat that and do that, because he's seen it before. Whereas if a man did not have good examples, did not have father figure in his life, and if his examples were seeing men abusing women, cheating on women, men who would dog women out, talk to women like they were subservient and were beneath them, then that man believes that that's what it means to be a man. That's what it means to be manly, to be masculine, to treat women a certain way. So a lot of times these now form the beliefs inside of a man's heart. And when he gets into a committed relationship, and most of us need to understand this, when we get into a committed relationship, we usually begin to replicate and repeat and do what we've seen growing up. Whatever we've seen growing up in our childhood is what we're going to end up duplicating and bringing into the relationship. So what examples did this man have? What are his examples? If he can tell you out of his mouth, I don't have any good examples, or I have not really seen any men, I haven't seen men be respectful and faithful and devoted growing up, that is a red flag. And that man now needs accountability and needs to get some examples, because he needs to see a pattern. He needs a new pattern. He needs to see men doing things the right way, because that's the only way that he's going to be able to treat you the way you want to be treated, or he's going to end up doing what he saw others doing before, which is probably cheating around, sleeping around, being a rolling stone, and not being faithful at home. Okay? Find out who are his examples and find out who he's accountable to. And if you're watching this and you're a man, get some examples that you can follow. All right, number 6, he lacks discipline. That's just one of the things, to be honest. There's some men who just lack discipline. If you lack discipline, you're not going to be committed in your relationship. Discipline and commitment go hand in hand, because in order for you to follow through on your commitments, you have to be willing to do what you don't feel like doing. That's what discipline is all about. Discipline is doing what you hate in order to get what you love. Discipline is doing what you may hate in order to get or to keep what you may love. So you go to the gym and you work out, you're disciplined about that because you love the end result, which is having the body you want, the abs you want, the arms you want, the butt you want, ladies. The discipline aspect is doing daily what you don't feel like doing. So a man who lacks discipline will not be committed. He can cheat. All right. Another thing that men need to work on, and if you struggle with pornography, you struggle with masturbation, you struggle with giving into sexual desires, and you don't have any discipline, you can't tell yourself no, you cannot tell your body no, you don't know how to control your urges, then you're gonna lack discipline. All right, so you got to work on discipline, men. And ladies, if he lacks discipline in his personal life, he's most likely not, he can cheat on you. Even if he wants to stay with you, he just doesn't have the discipline to. Here's another thing: lacks communication skills. Number 7, a man who may cheat on you lacks the communication skills. What does communication skills have to do with the ability to not cheat? Well, a lot of times, if a man doesn't know how to be expressive emotionally, or doesn't feel like in the marriage or in the relationship his voice is being heard, because he may not be able to know how to articulate himself properly. You know, ladies, you guys can talk circles around us because you ladies, you're more you guys express yourselves a lot easier. You talk all the time. Y'all talk on the phone, y'all talk all day. Women love to talk. Men, on the other hand, just like to process and think. We like to be in our own heads. We don't like to verbalize what we're feeling, which is something that men have to work on. We have to learn how to be that way, but most men don't. And so men can be internally frustrated, they can be struggling, but they don't really know how to articulate themselves, or they may not feel comfortable telling you what they really are thinking. And as a result of that, instead of pressing in to fight to become better at communicating, they can take their internal frustrations and find comfort and find peace and find solace in someone else who might be easier to talk to. Because another thing, ladies, in relationships, long committed relationships, sometimes it gets harder to talk to the person you love because you're afraid of hurting them. You're afraid of, maybe we've had arguments before when I expressed myself and it didn't turn out well. So now I don't know if I should tell you certain things. And that's dangerous because now again, if I don't feel like I can go to you and share what's in my heart without it turning into a argument or a fight, I will just keep things into myself. You see, ladies, men love peace. Men love peace. Men don't like nagging. So if they feel like talking to you turns into nagging or complaining, or it feels like to men, and I'm just saying how men feel. A man will rather be silent and let you do all the talking and shut up than to fuss and fight every day and talk about certain things. So a man would just shut down verbally, stay very surface, very passive, not really talk about a lot of things because he doesn't feel like he will be hurt anyway. And then what happens is he might find another woman who is easier to talk to. Maybe he doesn't have to say much. And that woman opens up to him and he just sees an escape, or he sees somebody who can listen to him. And that's another way men cheat. But really, all of that could have been avoided if he was able to find a way to communicate how he was really feeling inside. And the two of you have been able to understand each other and begin to work on solutions. All right. Another reason why men cheat, number 8, is that he lacks identity. He lacks identity. He doesn't know who he is. He doesn't know himself. So what does he do? I'm going to try to build my identity through rather my status, or build an identity through my accomplishments and what I'm doing. And when a man lacks identity, maybe he thinks that what it means to be a man is to be able to look like you got woman. And he has not established his identity in who God says he is, and what is just simply the right thing to do. He can become easily seduced, pulled off track by someone who, or specifically a woman. The Bible talks about this in the book of Proverbs, the strange woman, how the strange woman who's not married can come alongside and probably speak good, seductive words to inflate that man's ego, to get him to feel more of himself than he probably doesn't feel. He's not secure in his identity. So having someone come alongside to tell him things about himself that makes him feel good, he can then gravitate towards this woman and fall into a trap with an immoral, seductive, strange woman. All right. This happens a lot as well. And so a man must know who he is. He must know himself so that he is not easily given into the thirst trap that's out there. All right. Number 9, this is a big one. Another reason why men cheat is that they lack feeling respected at home. They lack feeling respected at home. Now, out of all of the reasons that I gave you, ladies, this one falls on you. This one falls on you. I'm giving you 10 reasons. This one falls on you. If your man does not feel like you listen to him, that is a problem. If your man feels like you don't respect him and that you fight against his wishes, or you make him feel like he's inferior, or you have more authority in the home than him, if you make him feel like if he tries to possibly speak into your children's life and you undermine him in front of the children, all of those things, you're making that man not feel like a man in his own home. Maybe you've called him out his name and said things that don't pick him up, that don't speak to his identity. You see, because even if a man lacks identity and you married him, guess what? Your responsibility is to speak life into your man. There is a boy and a king in every man. You can either speak to the boy in him or you can speak to the king in him. So it's your responsibility. If you want to be his queen, you got to speak to the king in him. Elevate him. You might say, well, that's not my job. I shouldn't have to do that. Yes, it is your job. You're his helpmeet. You're his purpose partner. It's not your job to do everything, but one thing is for sure is that kind words should be coming out of your mouth. One thing is for sure is that loving words, words that edify, words that build up, words that comfort should be coming out of your mouth. Because if you speak negatively, you're only going to get more negative. So you have to learn how to make him feel like a man, make him feel respected, make him feel as if you value him being in your life. And once that happens, that man will feel like you love him. Respect feels like love to a man. You can tell a man you love him, and that really doesn't mean nothing to him. I'll be honest with you. But if you tell a man, I respect you, that man will say, what? You're going to speak to the God in him. You're going to make him feel like you truly honor him. That's all men want, is to feel. You can tell a man you love him 100 times. One, I respect you, will do more in your man's heart than 100 I love yous. Because respect feels like love to a man. That's why the Bible says, men, love your wives as Christ loved the church. But the Bible tells the woman, submit to your husband. What? Because it is submit or respect. When you respect him, you say, I'm willing to submit to him. I'm coming under his leadership. I'm coming under his authority. I'm coming under him. And when you do that, you're bringing the side of him, the masculine side of him, the protector in him, the provider in him, the one who's going to be the defender and the fighter in him. All those things come alive in him when you speak to the king in him. You respect him. But if you talk to the boy in him and make him feel like he's a boy, make him feel like you're his mom and you're above him and you have authority over him, you're never going to see the beauty of the type of relationship you can have with your husband and your spouse come to life. All right. And so that's a big one, ladies. I spent some time there because I want you to get that. A lot of times that alone can change the entire trajectory of a good relationship or even a failing one. And finally, number 10, he lacks self-love. He doesn't love himself. A man who lacks self-love. Now, that looks different because, again, a man who does not love himself, he may not show it the way that a woman who lacks self-love might show it. A man who lacks self-love might simply suffer with imposter syndrome, comparison, constantly comparing himself to other men, constantly looking at himself and might be feeling depressed. He doesn't love himself, doesn't feel qualified, good enough. Okay. And when a man is not at his best, he begins to think at his worst. And when he thinks at his worst, he begins to live at his worst. So he'll begin to do things that will compromise his money, his marriage, his mentality, right? All because he's not right now. He doesn't love himself. And so any man, once again, who operates or lacks any of these things we just talked about, he may lack vision, lack wisdom, lack accountability, lack personal fulfillment, lack good examples, lack discipline, lacks communication skills, lacks identity, lacks feeling respected at home, or lacks self-love. The more of these things that is missing in his life, the greater the odds that he will cheat. And so the goal is that, hey, imagine if this is the checklist. Think about your husband right now. Think about your man right now. And think about how many of these things he might lack. And if there are things that you can probably help him begin to get implemented in his life, then that you're going to lower the chances that he will step out. Once again, this has little or nothing to do with you besides the fact of you not making him feel respected at home. All these other things are man's personal battles, personal inner issues, inner demons, inner traumas, inner wounds that he needs to get healed from. And once he heals, then he can deal correctly with you. So if you have any questions for me, write them down in the comments. I'd love to read them. I'd love to answer them. Also, if you want to hop on a free strategy call with me, the link is in the bio. I'm currently, every year, I'm doing a special group coaching program that only lasts for 3 months. After 3 months, it is over, and I'll see you next year. But if you are interested in finding out more about anything that I'm offering, also any one of my books on relationships, feel free to check out the link, and let's stay in touch. All right. But until then, keep God first in your relationships. Let God be your matchmaker. Let God's will be done in your life. I want to see heaven in your love life. So let's continue to pray. Lord, I pray that anyone who's watching me right now who has been cheated on or might have experienced infidelity in their marriage, help them to recognize that all is not over. Doesn't mean that their marriage has to be destroyed. You are the God of second chances. You are the God who can bring reconciliation and healing, even in a marriage or relationship that has been wrecked by unfaithfulness. And I pray, Lord, that you will help heal any broken heart. May you mend it. May you sew it back together. May they come to see that, Lord, you are able to do exceeding and abundant things, far beyond all that we can ask or think. I pray, God, if any one who's feeling like they don't know what they should do next, that they will receive the wisdom to make the decision that's going to glorify you, that's going to protect them, and that's going to ultimately establish kingdom on on earth. So I thank you for doing this for your people. In the name of Jesus, amen. All right, much love. I'll see you all in the next video. God bless you.